Welcome. Today we're stepping into some pretty dark territory. We're looking at moments where life just took an unexpected, often really tragic turn. We've gathered some accounts that are, well, genuinely chilling, stories that show how fast things can go wrong.
Absolutely. And these aren't just random events, are they? They really offer a window into, human psychology under pressure. We'll be looking at the unsettling backstories behind some seemingly ordinary scenes that hide something much, much darker.
Yeah, from something as simple as going shopping to like a huge celebration like a wedding.
Yeah.
These stories, they really make you think twice. So let's get into it. We're starting with Drew Staten's story. It's just a textbook example of an ordinary day turning into an absolute nightmare. This is November 22nd, 2003, Grand Forks, North Dakota. Drew was 22, a university student. She finishes her shift at Victoria's Secret, then spends about an hour shopping for a new purse at a Columbia Mall. Totally normal. The last time anyone saw her alive, well, it was on a security camera from Marshall Fields. Shows her making that purchase. Right after that, she's walking to her car, a 94 Oldsmobile Cutlass, out in the mall parking lot. She's on the phone with her boyfriend, Chris Lang.
Right, and this is where it gets incredibly disturbing, that phone call.
Exactly. 4 minutes into the call, Chris hears Drew suddenly say, quite softly, okay, like she's talking to someone else there, and then boom, the line cuts out.
Just like that.
Yeah. And Chris, he just figured it was a dropped call. Why wouldn't he?
It's that sudden shift, isn't it? From complete normalcy shopping, chatting on the phone, to something sinister signaled by just two words that, okay. It suggests maybe a moment of compliance, an unexpected encounter there in the parking lot.
So later that night, Drew doesn't show up for her second job. That's when the worry really starts. Police investigate. They find her car right where she parked it at the mall. But inside, on one of the front seats, there's this chilling detail. An empty sheath for a sharp blade.
An empty sheath, that's significant.
Right.
It strongly suggests she opened her car door and was immediately confronted by someone holding the unsheathed weapon. She was likely forced into another vehicle. And that brings up the whole terrifying concept of the second location.
Yeah, you hear about that.
Your chances of survival plummet once you're moved from that initial point of contact away from potential witnesses.
So the investigation pointed pretty quickly to a man named Alfonso Rodriguez Jr. He was 50, living just 12 miles away in Crookston, Minnesota. And he was a registered level 3 sex offender. Had been out of prison less than 7 months.
Level 3, meaning a highest risk of reoffending.
Yeah. He'd served 23 years for multiple kidnappings already. When police questioned him, he admitted being near the mall, but his alibi was, well, weak. Claimed he was watching a movie. Problem was, that movie wasn't even playing in Grand Forks on November 22nd.
Classic mistake. The lie just didn't hold up under basic checking. With his history and that flimsy story, he immediately became the prime suspect. It's often the inconsistencies that lead investigators forward.
And then they searched his car, found receipts for a knife bought that same day, November 22nd. They found the blade itself soaking in cleaning solution, a woman's shoe, and Drew's blood.
Just damning evidence, utterly damning.
It took 5.5 months, agonizing months for her family, I'm sure. On April 17th, 2004, they found Drew's body, west of Crookston, in a drainage ditch, hidden under snow that was just starting to melt.
Horrible.
Her hands were bound. She'd been stabbed. And they think a shopping bag was put over her head.
Even though the exact cause of death couldn't be determined, the circumstances, they speak for themselves. It really reinforces that advice you sometimes hear. If abducted, do everything you can to resist being taken to a second location. Fight, scream, make noise, anything. Stay where people might see.
Such a terrible end to such an ordinary day. Okay, let's move to a different kind of tragedy, a dream that turned deadly. This was December 2016, Sao Paulo, Brazil. A bride-to-be, Rosemary de Nascimento Silva, 32 years old. She had this grand entrance planned for her wedding. Instead of a car, she wanted to arrive by helicopter. It was meant to be a huge surprise for her fiancé and their 300 guests.
A childhood dream, apparently. A statement about love having no limits, she said.
So the afternoon of the wedding, she gets into this Robinson 44 helicopter with her brother, Silvano, and her wedding photographer, Nyla Cristina Neves. And Nyla, the photographer, she was 6 months pregnant.
Oh, wow. And here we see that phenomenon aviation folks call get-there-itis. The pilot, Peterson Pinheiro. The weather was bad, poor visibility, adverse conditions. But he decided to go anyway. Maybe he felt pressure because it was a wedding, a special event. But ultimately, it was his call to fly against safety protocols.
And Nyla filmed the whole thing, about 15 minutes. At first, you see them, they're happy, excited, but then the footage shows them getting more and more anxious. Turbulence hits, the helicopter's making weird noises. You see the thick fog just moments before impact.
Horrifying.
In an instant, the helicopter crashed into the ground, just a mile from the wedding venue. All four of them, Rosemary, her brother, the pregnant photographer, the pilot, killed instantly.
And the camera kept rolling.
Yeah, for 2 more minutes. You can hear locals arriving at the crash site, their voices saying, they're dead.
It's just stark. It really makes you question that line between like ambition or fulfilling a dream and just sheer recklessness. That pressure to get there no matter what, whether it's for a wedding or a meeting, it can just override basic safety sense. Shows how fragile life is.
Yeah. And that same theme, get there itis, it comes up again in our next story, tragically involving a huge music star, Aaliyah. This was August 5th, 2001. She was only 22. She just finished filming the music video for Rock the Boat on Abaco Island in the Bahamas. The shoot wrapped up a day early, actually. So everyone was really keen to get back to Miami. Instead of waiting for their booked flight the next morning, they decided to charter a private plane right then, that afternoon.
Impatience setting in.
Seems like it. But the plane that showed up, a twin-engine Cessna 402, it was smaller than they expected, capacity for 7 passengers, but there were 8 people from her team, plus Aaliyah, plus all the luggage and heavy video equipment. They all wanted to get on.
And right there, you have the core problem. Urgency trumping safety again. The plane was overloaded, estimates say, by about 700 pounds. That's significant. And worse, the pilot, Luis Morales III, he'd apparently falsified his flight logs, lied about his experience, and the autopsy later found cocaine in his system. Just layers of negligence.
It's just unbelievable. Moments after taking off, the plane just nosedived, crashed only 200 feet from the end of the runway, burst into flames, all 9 people on board killed. Aaliyah, her whole team, gone.
Such a massive loss.
And what makes it even more heartbreaking, Aaliyah herself was reportedly terrified of flying, especially small planes. Sources say she actually begged her team to wait for a bigger plane. It would have only been like an hour and a half wait.
Her intuition was telling her something wasn't right.
Yeah. And there are these uncorroborated reports from a biography that are just deeply unsettling. They suggest that when she refused to get on the plane, someone slipped her a sedative, knocked her out, and then carried her onto the plane unconscious.
Wow. If that's true, it's beyond disturbing. Though, like you said, unverified.
Right, unverified. But witnesses did hear her crew arguing with the pilot, insisting they had to be in Miami that night, even when he warned them about the wait.
It really shines a light on group pressure, doesn't it? Especially in high-stakes environments like the entertainment industry. That collective push to get somewhere now, overriding individual concerns, overriding pilot warnings, it led directly to tragedy. Sometimes the safest thing, the only right thing, is just to wait, even if it's inconvenient.
Absolutely. A truly awful reminder. Okay, shifting gears quite dramatically now. We're going to Germany for a story about a mother's, ultimate act of vengeance. Marianne Bachmeier. She grew up in West Germany, apparently in a very strict home. By 23, she had a daughter, Anna, who she raised alone. Reports suggest their relationship was difficult and it was often left on her own. So May 5th, 1980, Anna, who's 7, has an argument with her mom. She decides to skip school. While she's out, she's approached by a neighbor, Klaus Grabowski, a 35-year-old butcher. He lures her to his apartment, promising she can play with his cats.
Just sickening.
What he did to her then, it's just horrific, unspeakable. He killed her. He bound her body, put her in a box, and just left it by a nearby canal.
The brutality is one layer, but then what happened next is extraordinary. Grabowski's own fiancée realized what he'd done. She actually went to the police.
Wow.
Yeah. So they found Anna's body quickly, charged Grabowski. Marianne, her mother, was obviously devastated beyond words.
His trial starts March 3rd, 1981. And Grabowski gets up there and testifies that Anna made advances on him, tried to blackmail him, that he was the victim.
But the audacity! Blaming a 7-year-old victim, it's beyond comprehension.
Marianne was in the courtroom, heard him say this, and she just snapped. Couldn't let him get away with it. 3 days later, March 6th, Klaus Grabowski is standing in the courtroom, his back to the public gallery. Marianne had smuggled in a .22 Beretta under her coat. She stood up, positioned herself, and fired 8 shots. 7 hit him, killed him right there.
Wow. In the courtroom itself?
Yeah. Instant chaos, obviously. But it immediately ignited this huge debate across Germany.
Justice or vigilantism? Where's the line?
She was arrested immediately, didn't resist at all. Public opinion was massively divided. Huge sympathy for her, but also She took a life.
It forces you to confront really difficult questions about the justice system, grief, revenge.
And the outcome of her trial was pretty remarkable. The judge, you could argue, seemed to understand the sentiment. She was convicted of premeditated manslaughter, but only sentenced to 6 years.
6 years for shooting someone in a courtroom. That's lenient, considering.
And she was paroled after serving less than 3 years. June 1985. Marianne Bachmeyer died in 1996. She was only 46. Cancer, I believe. She's buried next to Anna.
An incredibly intense and tragic story from start to finish. The legal outcome alone is fascinating.
It really is. Okay, for our final story, we're heading to Australia, one of the country's most notorious fugitives, Malcolm Naden. This starts January 4th, 2005. A 24-year-old mother of 4, Letitia Nolan, vanishes from Dubbo, New South Wales. Suspicion falls pretty quickly on her cousin, Malcolm Naden. He was 32, working in an abattoir, had a bit of a history. Then 5 months later, another young woman, Christy Skulls, also 24. She's found strangled in a house in West Dubbo. It belonged to her boyfriend's grandparents. And guess who else was living there?
Malcolm Naden.
Yep. After Christy's body was found, Naden just disappeared. And that kicked off this massive manhunt. It lasted nearly 7 years. He became New South Wales's most wanted man.
7 years on the run. That's incredible evasion. And where he hid, that's the really bizarre part of this story.
Right. He was hiding out in the Western Plains Zoo in Dubbo.
Not just in the zoo, but in the roof of the manager's hut.
Yeah. Just lying low, silent during the day. Staff apparently heard noises sometimes, just thought it was a possum.
And then at night?
He'd creep out into the huge, empty zoo grounds, 300 hectares, foraging for food. Reports say he stole bananas meant for the elephants, went through rubbish bins, used the public coin-operated barbecue.
Then the tortoise incident.
Oh, yeah. Apparently, in one really desperate moment, he caught a Galapagos tortoise, beheaded it, and sucked out its guts, according to reports. Just primal survival.
It paints a picture of incredible, almost animalistic cunning and desperation.
There was this freelance security guy, Mike Abernathy, who was actually hunting Naden inside the zoo. Abernathy described this one really close encounter in November 2005. Said they had this stare down, called it a look of mutual homicide.
Yeah.
But Naden slipped away into the bush again.
Vanished.
He kept evading them for years, even shot a police officer in December 2011 and still got away. They finally caught him March 22nd, 2012, found him in a remote cabin at a place called Rawdon Vale.
After 7 years. It's astounding he remained free for so long, given the resources deployed. It really speaks to his survival skills, his knowledge of the bush, and maybe just sheer luck at times, but also his absolute ruthlessness.
At his trial, Naden was apparently quite calm, pleaded guilty to murdering Letitia Nolan, his cousin, and Christy Skulls. Also admitted to trying to kill the police officer he shot. He said he killed Letitia basically by chance. She offered him a ride to go fishing, and he killed her in her car. Just like that.
Chillingly random. No real motive offered beyond impulse, it seems.
The judge gave him life without parole. Told him straight up, life outside of prison is not an option for you. And Naden's response, "Thank you, Your Honor."
Wow. Just no remorse. Nothing. It highlights the lasting trauma these kinds of crimes inflict. Letitia Nolan's family didn't even get her remains back until 2016. Years of waiting. And even in prison, the story continued. Naden was attacked by another inmate who happened to be his second cousin. A kind of grim postscript.
Yeah, just an incredibly dark saga all around. So these stories, from, a shopping trip gone wrong to deadly accidents, vengeance, years on the run, they really show the unpredictable nature of life, I guess. The extremes of human experience, both dark and sometimes strangely defiant.
They absolutely do. They make you think about choices made under pressure, the importance of just being aware, vigilant, and how every decision, big or small, can have these huge, unforeseen consequences. The world throws things at you that are just unsettling. Learning from these events is vital.
It really is. We hope listening to these accounts gave you some perhaps startling insights and definitely something to think about.
As we look at these grim narratives, it's worth considering maybe what makes some moments turn so drastically wrong while others don't. Are there subtle warning signs we miss, or is it sometimes just sheer, unavoidable circumstance? It leaves you wondering about the unseen forces at play.
Definitely food for thought. Thank you for joining us for this exploration of these grim fates and their backstories. If you found these stories gripping and you want to hear more unsettling true crime and horror explorations, please do like, share, and subscribe to our channel, Head & Co. Horror Docx. We'll have more deep dives coming your way. Until next time, stay safe and stay curious.